surgery. All these are things that we have to follow, are not just working with but pioneering continuously so that connectivity like this will be more powerful. For example, in the post-operative period, we can connect this institution with our EIC. We will have continuous video dialogues using our telemedicine platform, where it's not just a conversation, but reports are transmitted, and the doctor medical teams will have central monitoring cells so that we give 24-hour coverage. So many day-to-day technologies have been modified to bring in medical grade standards, HIPAA, which is the patient privacy standard, and create platforms which connect and give the hospital a better way to connect, as well as the patient a safer environment.
We've had liver transplant patients from 50 countries, and Dr. Geeta, during the lockdown, where people couldn't travel for their follow-ups, through a MOU 24/7, we were able to monitor them and made sure that there was continuity of care across the globe, across every state in the Union Territory of India where we have patients. So that's application of technology real time, real world experience.
Thank you, Doctor. I think the last question we have is, on the vision that we should be doing 35,000 number, but today we are doing only 1,000. So what happens to the rest, and what is the vision ahead?
Manish, you want to take that?
Yes, sure. So, as of today, we do not have any technology or any machine which substitutes for the function. So, patients have got end-stage liver disease. Either they undergo a transplant or they die. And there is not a lot of options for us to even prolong their life and keep them stable for a very long time. And that essentially brings us to this fact that we need to get liver transplants to as many people as possible, to the remotest corners in the country, that patients are treated at the appropriate time, where if you do the transplant at the appropriate speed, at the appropriate time, the success rate are more than 93%. The same patient, if the patient comes very late with a very advanced complicated situation, then doing a transplant, the success rates may drop down by 20 or 30%. So, coming to the answer straight, patients of liver disease who need a transplant and do not undergo a transplant, they will ultimately die within a short period of time, which may be a few weeks to few months.
Moreover, the present memorandum that we are signing, the post-satellite approach as I was talking about, in a country like ours where we are wanting to reach the broadening of the program, the approach which is workable is post-satellite approach, and there have been extensive works which have been worked out. Research publications are there in regard to this particular approach having worked wonders in India. And I think this is the modality which is ultimately expected to be available for extension of the expertise, where the apical centers, in terms of the collaboration, they will be taking care of the peripheral centers, getting their expertise updated, so that at the end of the day, they also become equally efficacious and accessible. This is exactly what is classically called as transferring of the baton for broadening the reach. So I think in a country like ours, especially the huge deficit which has been so critically observed, post-satellite approach, of which we are a classical example today, turns out to be the modality for the future.
This, what Trust is right now, we already have an existing system within the MOU network, and under the leadership and guidance of Dr. Sigal, we have actually mentored a lot of programs within the MOU system. This is how and spoke partner. And I think that as the same experience that we have from mentoring different programs, we are going to use the same experience to ensure that the Data Mega Institute also becomes one of the centers of excellence for doing liver transplant.
Thank you, Dr. Verma. We have Dhananjay who has raised his hand for a while now. Dhananjay, you are us.
Yeah. Me Dhananjay from Delhi. I am from medical news. प्रकाश जी प्रणाम आपको।
जी कैसे हो?
बढ़िया है। I have picked a couple of questions. Given the enormous gap supply and demand, is it not a high time to permit market transplant sector? Second question is, I have a 90-year-old mother, Nina Devi, in Dhaka. I have a hunch that her works better than mine. And who knows, even I came across a case the son was transplanted from mother's organ, but mother's organ was not fit. So grandmother's organ fitted, and that was done. And very recently, 80-year-old lady was sourced from a powerhouse. So how do we explore her life or career? I believe his cost or concept is considered astronomical. So when that happens, it is very shocking. Long ago, we lost the lady very disaster. She died even after liver transplant. So can't death be minimized to zero? But these are questions.
Manish, why don't you take them? I'll ask Dhananjay. I'll answer Dhananjay's last question. That's the goal, zero. That is always the goal. Perhaps, Manish, I will not see it in my lifetime, but that will always be the goal. Manish, you want to answer the other two?
Yeah, so as far as transplant is concerned, you spoke about donor, elderly donors. And there, as far as cadaveric donation is concerned, donation after death of the donor, there is real upper limit to the age at which the organs can be used. Although, as the person ages, as the organ ages, the organ may become unfit for transplant. But then, we do have ways of finding out which organs are fit, which organs are not fit for transplant. So, somebody who is 80 years, somebody who is 90 years, after the donation of organs is possible. That is point number one. As far as living donors is concerned, the main issue becomes in a living donor transplant, the main issue is of the safety of the donor. And whatever we do, right, we should not be doing anything which can put the donor at harm. So we know that as we age, all the organs, they become weak. It is not a fixed rule. There are times, like you said, that a 60-year-old person's organ can be better than a 40-year-old. But the same person whose organ is good at 60 years of age, that person's organ would be better when that person was 20 or 30 years old. So when we talk about life donation, we always look at the safety of the donor first, and the general experience and the general consensus of transplant community all across the world is that living donors for liver should be discouraged over the age of 50 or 55 years. So that is the overall situation right now. As far as the mortality is concerned, patients dying after transplant is concerned, we have traveled a long way, and as of today, we can safely say that out of 100 people who get transplanted, more than 95 will actually be alive after a transplant. This is a huge improvement as compared to what the situation was over, say, 3 decades ago. So now we are definitely working towards minimizing the risks. We are working towards doing the transplants more safely. As of today, many of the transplants are done even without blood transfusions. That is the level of expertise, that is the level of understanding that we have about doing liver transplants. So I am hopeful that as time progresses, the overall risk with transplant will come down a little bit.
And that about permitting market.
I'm sorry, what about permitting market? I could not understand that question.
Since the yawning gap between supply and demand, is it not high time to permit market in this sector?
So if by market you mean that organs, like somebody can come forward and donate for money,
Yes.
then that is again not allowed either by the law or by ethics, because transplant donation of organ has to be a completely voluntary process without any kind of a coercion. That coercion can be in the form of money, that coercion can be in the form of power. So whenever money is involved, the whole transplantation becomes unethical as per the present law. If there is a change in law, some of the countries, they do remunerate the donors, but as of now, we have to work for transplants within the purview of the Indian law, and transplant and donation for money is not permitted as of now.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Verma. We have one last question before we close the session. This is around, again, cost. Are there any schemes which are being planned or is available for making the cost more affordable as of today?
I think Sandeep ji answered that, and maybe he can comment on it again.
Unfortunately, the liver transplant is not yet covered by any public insurances, such as what is available in Maharashtra or Ayushman. But yes, the other kind of financial support can be generated, that includes some crowdfunding, such as money such as we and also we can minimize the cost for it. Not particularly schemes as such, but the effort can be done to provide financial burden of the transplants to the patients.
I think the inclusion of the liver transplant in the Ayushman Bharat is one very important aspect, and I'd also like to highlight, just as a general information, that the cost of a transplant anywhere abroad is almost 10 times the cost of a transplant in India. So our surgeons, our medical technology, the efficiency of hospitals must be commended for this ability to bring this within the reach of Indians. And honestly, insurance is the only way. Whether it is a social insurance or even a private insurance, so individuals who are not in the category of Ayushman Bharat, I strongly recommend that we must ensure and encourage every individual to buy health insurance. So that is the mechanism which is very critical.
Thank you, Dr. Preeta. This is all from media folks. You can give the closing remarks.
With this, with the kind permission from Dr. Samina Reddy and Sagar sir, I would say thank you Ross, thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to a very positive association and to launch the Apollo DMIMS transplantation program with full zest and meaningfulness. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody.
Namaste and thank you all the very best. We look forward to a continuous success and a strong commitment from our side to ensure that we truly impact every patient positively. Thank you.
So, Sangeeta, take care then. Bye-bye.